The market was full of noise. People were shouting, selling fruits, vegetables, and clothes. But in one corner stood a small girl. Her dress was old and torn, her hair messy, her face pale. She held her mother's hand tightly. Her mother looked weak, her eyes tired. She had not eaten for days, but the girl's eyes were full of courage. She looked at strangers passing by and shouted in a voice that shook many hearts, "Please take my mom, she can cook delicious meals for you." People stopped for a moment. They turned their heads and stared at the child. Some laughed, thinking the girl was joking. Some whispered to each other in shock. A few looked away. Quickly, not wanting to feel the pain in her words, the girl did not stop. Her voice grew louder. She cried again, "Please, take my mom, she can cook for you, she can make food better than anyone, please give us a chance." The sound of her cry touched the air like a knife. It cut through the laughter and noise of the busy market, yet no one moved forward. Her mother bent down, whispering, "Stop, my child, don't beg like this." But the girl shook her head, tears filling her eyes. "No, Mama, if they know you can cook, maybe someone will help us. Maybe we will not sleep hungry tonight." The people around felt the weight of those words, but still, no one came near. They only watched, curious but afraid to step in. The little girl's lips trembled, but her spirit stayed strong. She was too young to carry such heavy pain, yet she stood there like a warrior, her small voice filled with desperation and love. A boy from a nearby shop whispered to his father, "Why is she saying that, Papa?" The father only shook his head, trying to drag his son away. "Don't look, son, this is not our problem." The girl's stomach growled. She held it with one hand, but still, she shouted again, "Please, my mom will cook for you. She makes food that will make you smile. Please, someone help us." Her mother's eyes filled with tears. She had never felt so helpless. She wanted to hide her face, but her daughter's brave voice kept rising. The wind blew dust across the street, but the child's words were louder than the wind. "Please, take my mom. She can cook delicious meals. Don't let us stay hungry." People slowed their steps. They listened. But their hearts remained closed. Some felt pity but feared responsibility. Some felt shame but chose silence. The girl looked at each face, searching for kindness, but saw only hesitation. Her tears rolled down, but she wiped them quickly with the back of her hand. She wanted to appear strong for her mother. The mother whispered again, "My child, stop this. No one will listen." But the girl shook her head stubbornly. "Someone will, Mama. Someone has to." Her voice cracked, but her hope did not break. She was like a tiny lamp in the darkness, flickering, but never dying. The market carried on. The sound of sellers, the noise of bargaining, but the child's cry was different. It was not about money, not about trade. It was about survival. It was about love. Every word she spoke was like a story written in the air, a story of hunger, of suffering, but also of courage. Some women passing by felt tears in their eyes, but they walked faster, not brave enough to stop. A man selling bread looked at her for a long moment, then turned away, pretending he had not heard. The girl's small shoulders shook. Her voice grew weaker, but she forced it louder again. "Please, my mom can cook for you. She can make rice, bread, curry, anything you want. Just give her a chance." Her mother closed her eyes, her heart breaking into pieces. She wished she could take away her daughter's pain, but she had no power, no money, no hope. The girl squeezed her mother's hand tightly, her little fingers trembling. "Don't worry, Mama. I will find someone. You will see." The air was heavy with silence. Now, the people who had gathered moved on, but a few eyes still followed her, wondering how such a small child could carry such heavy sorrow. The girl stood there, tears on her cheeks, hunger in her body, but fire in her spirit. She lifted her head again and cried out louder than before, "Please take my mom. She will cook you delicious meals. She will not let you down." And in that moment, the market froze. The world seemed to pause. Her words echoed in the hearts of many, and somewhere in the distance someone was listening. Someone who would change their lives forever. The market sound slowly faded from the girl's ears. Her cries had grown weaker. Her little body was tired, but her heart was still holding on. People had moved away, but the pain inside her chest only grew heavier. Her mother touched her shoulder gently, her voice shaking. My child, why do you do this? Why do you shame yourself and me like this? But her words were not of anger. They were filled with sorrow. The girl looked up at her mother, her big eyes shining with tears. Mama, I don't care if people laugh. I don't care if they whisper. I only want you to eat. I only want you to live. Her mother's lips trembled. She turned her face away, afraid her daughter might see the tears she was trying to hide. The truth was simple, cruel, and sharp. They had not eaten for 2 days, only a little water. Their small hut at the edge of the village had no food, no fire, no hope. The girl remembered how last night her mother pretended to eat so she would not feel guilty. She had seen her mother lift an empty hand to her mouth, pretending she was full. But the little girl had noticed the lie. She had seen her mother's stomach ache with hunger. That memory burned inside her heart. That was why today she had decided to speak. Even if the whole market stared, even if the whole world judged, the mother had once been known as the best cook in the village long ago when times were better. Her father was alive then. He used to smile proudly whenever his wife cooked. Her bread was soft, her curries full of flavor, her rice always warm and fresh, but that life had vanished like smoke. After the father's death, everything changed. Debts grew, friends turned away, neighbors closed their doors. The girl had been too young to understand at that time. She only knew that one day her father was gone, and her mother's eyes were never the same. Now, hunger was their only companion. It sat with them at night. It woke up with them in the morning. The lie. Girl's thin legs trembled as she tried to stand straight, but she forced herself to appear strong. She whispered to herself, "If I am weak, Mama will fall. I must stay strong." A group of boys ran past, laughing. One of them shouted, "Crazy girl selling her mom like a basket of fruit." They laughed louder, disappearing down the street. The mother's face burned with shame, but the little girl lifted her chin and shouted after them, "I am not crazy. My mom can cook better than your mother's. Better than anyone." Her voice cracked, but it carried a strange power, the power of a child's unbroken spirit. The mother's heart ached. She remembered when she had once promised her daughter that no matter what, she would never go hungry. But now she could not keep that promise, and the pain of failure cut her soul deeper than hunger itself. They walked slowly back toward their hut, the dust rising under their tired feet. People stared, some with pity, some with judgment, but no one stopped them. Their home was nothing more than a broken shelter, the roof leaking, the walls thin, the ground cold. A small clay stove sat in, one corner empty, unused, a silent reminder of what life used to be. The girl sat down, hugging her knees. Her stomach growled again, but she tried to ignore it. She looked at her mother and said softly, "Mama, why won't anyone help us? Why are people afraid of us?" The mother's eyes grew wet. She sat beside her daughter and stroked her hair. "Because, my child, when people see suffering, they feel pain, and when they feel pain, they turn away. They believe it is easier not to see us," the girl frowned. "But if they feel pain, shouldn't they help? Isn't that what good people do?" The mother hugged her close, wishing she could answer, but silence was all she had. The evening sun fell across the broken hut, shadows stretching long and thin. The girl stared at the stove and whispered, "Mama, I can still hear Father's voice. He used to say you cook food that brings people together, food that makes people smile. Maybe if others taste your food, they will remember kindness." Her mother's lips trembled. She nodded slowly. "Yes, your father loved my cooking. He used to say that a good meal can heal sadness. But those days are gone, child." The girl shook her head. "No, Mama, they are not gone. You can still cook. I will make them see. I will make them hear." Her words were simple, but they carried a strange power. Her determination was brighter than the fading light of the sun. The mother closed her eyes, holding her child tightly, her heart breaking and healing at the same time, breaking from the cruelty of life, healing from the strength of her daughter. That night they lay on the floor, hungry but still together. The girl whispered before sleep, "Mama, tomorrow I will cry louder. Tomorrow someone will listen." The mother kissed her forehead and whispered back, "Maybe tomorrow, my brave child, maybe tomorrow." But deep inside, the girl's heart believed tomorrow would not be like Today, tomorrow someone would stop. Tomorrow a voice would answer her cry. And far away in the silence of the night, destiny was already moving, slowly but surely, toward them. The next morning the girl woke up early. Her stomach was empty, but her heart was burning with one thought. Today someone must hear her cry. Today someone must answer. Her mother tried to stop her, whispering, "Please, my child, don't go to the market again. Yesterday was enough." People laughed. They looked at us like we were nothing. But the girl only shook her head, her little face filled with determination. "Mama, if I stay silent, nothing will change. If I speak again, maybe today someone will listen. Maybe today we will not sleep hungry." The mother's eyes filled with tears. She wanted to protect her daughter from the cruel world, but she also knew the girl's spirit could not be broken. With a heavy heart, she followed her child back to the market. The market was alive with noise once more, sellers shouting about their fruits and vegetables, buyers bargaining loudly, carts rolling by, but above all these sounds rose the girl's trembling voice. "Please take my mom. She can cook delicious meals for you. Please give her a chance." Her words cut through the air like a blade. The crowd turned their heads again. Whispers began to spread quickly. "Is this the same girl from yesterday?" a man muttered, shaking his head. "Yes, the same one," another replied. "Begging to sell her mother's cooking. How shameful." A woman carrying bread stopped for a moment, her eyes softening. But when she saw others staring, she walked away quickly. Afraid of gossip, the girl did not care. She shouted louder, her small voice echoing across the busy street. "Please take my mom. She can make bread, rice, curry. She can cook anything you want. She only wants to feed me. Please help us." Some laughed cruelly. "What kind of child begs like this, offering her mother like a servant?" One man joked. Others laughed with him. The mother lowered her head, shame burning in her cheeks. She wanted to disappear, but her daughter held her hand tighter, refusing to let her sink into despair. There were also those who felt pity. A young woman whispered to her friend, "Poor child, her voice sounds so desperate." But her friend pulled her away. "Don't get involved. It's dangerous. Maybe they are lying, maybe it's a trick." Fear was stronger than kindness. Suspicion was louder than compassion. The girl's body shook with weakness, but her heart grew stronger with every rejection. She could not stop. Now, she had already shown the world her pain. To give up would mean death. A group of children stood nearby, watching her curiously. One of them asked, "Why is she saying that? Why is she begging for someone to take her mom?" But their parents dragged them away, saying, "Don't look, don't ask questions." The crowd grew thicker. More people heard her cry, yet no one stepped forward. They only judged from a distance. Some were whispering that the mother was lazy. Others believed they were cursed. Some even thought it was a scam to trick people. But the truth was far more painful than their imaginations. The truth was hunger. The truth was survival. The girl's eyes filled with tears, she looked around desperately, searching for just one kind soul. But everywhere she turned, she saw hesitation, doubt, or cruelty. Her voice broke, but she shouted again, "Please, don't let my mother suffer. She can work, she can cook. She only needs a chance." The market fell silent for a brief moment. Every eye was on her, the air heavy with unspoken words. And then slowly people began to walk away, leaving her standing in the middle of the street, her cry hanging in the air like a ghost. Her mother knelt beside her, whispering, "My child, maybe we should stop. Maybe this is not the way." But the girl shook her head fiercely, wiping her tears with her small hand. "No, Mama, I will not stop. If they laugh, let them laugh. If they turn away, let them turn away. But I will keep shouting until someone listens. Someone must listen." Her spirit was unbreakable, even when the crowd was cold, even when her words were ignored. She stood there like a little soldier of hope. The mother held her tightly, whispering, "You are braver than me, my child, braver than I ever was." In that moment, a shadow fell across them. Heavy footsteps stopped close by. A figure stood tall among the crowd, silent, unmoving. The girl looked up, her voice trembling as she repeated her cry. "Please take my mom. She will cook delicious meals for you." The crowd turned their heads. Again, whispers spread quickly. "Who is that man? Why is he stopping?" The stranger's face was calm but unreadable. His eyes studied the girl and her mother with an expression no one could understand. Was it anger, pity, or curiosity? The crowd waited, holding their breath, some expecting him to laugh, others expecting him to scold the child. But the man said, "Nothing." His silence was louder than all the noise around them. The girl's heart beat faster. Her mother clutched her hand tightly. For the first time, someone had not walked away. Someone had not turned his eyes. The question now was, why had he stopped, and what would he do next? The market had never been so quiet. The people who only moments ago laughed and whispered now stood still, their eyes fixed on the tall man who had stopped in front of the girl and her mother. His shadow fell across their tired faces, long and heavy like a blanket of night. The little girl's heart pounded inside her chest. She had shouted the same words so many times, but this was the first time someone had not walked away. Her voice shook as she repeated softly, "Please take my mom. She can cook delicious meals for you." The stranger did not answer immediately. His eyes moved slowly from the child's trembling lips to the mother's tired face. He studied them quietly, his silence making the crowd uneasy. "Why does he stand there?" someone whispered. "Is he going to mock them? Is he going to send them away?" Another muttered. The mother lowered her head, unable to meet his gaze. Shame burned inside her, but the girl pulled her hand gently, her little eyes locked onto the stranger's. Finally, the man spoke, his voice deep but calm. "Is it true? Your mother can cook?" The girl's heart leapt. She nodded quickly. "Yes, she can cook better than anyone. Her food makes people smile. Her bread is soft. Her curry is full of taste. She can cook anything." Her words spilled out like water from a broken pot, desperate and fast. The stranger looked at the mother, his eyes narrowing slightly. "And you? Is it true?" The mother hesitated, her lips trembling. She wanted to deny, she wanted to protect her pride, but her daughter's hopeful eyes gave her strength. She whispered, "Yes, I can cook. It is the only skill I have left." The man stayed silent again. The market waited with him, the crowd holding its breath. Then he spoke once more, slowly, each word heavy. "Come with me." The mother gasped. Fear rushed through her veins. She clutched her daughter close. "No, sir, I cannot. I don't know you." Her voice was shaky, a mix of caution and shame. But the girl's eyes sparkled with hope. She looked at her mother and whispered, "Mama, maybe he is the one. Maybe he will help us." The stranger's face remained unreadable. He simply said, "If you speak the truth, if your cooking is as good as your daughter says, then you will have nothing to fear." The crowd erupted in whispers. "Who is he? Why is he taking them? Can he be trusted?" Some said he looked like a rich man, others said he was dangerous. The mother's hands shook, but the girl tugged her arm softly. "Please, Mama, please, we must go. This is the chance." Her mother's heart was torn. Fear battled with hope, but in her daughter's eyes she saw a light she had not seen in years, a small spark of faith, and she could not crush it. With a deep breath, she nodded slowly. "All right, we will come." The stranger turned and began walking, his steps steady, powerful. The girl and her mother followed behind him, their feet weak, their hearts uncertain. The crowd parted like water, making way for them. Whispers followed their every step. What will happen to them? Is this their salvation or their doom? As they left the market, the noise returned, but softer, like the echo of something important, fading away. The road grew quieter. Only the sound of their footsteps remained. The girl clutched her mother's hand tightly, whispering, "Mama, do you feel it? Maybe our life is changing." The mother forced a smile, though her stomach twisted with fear. "Maybe, child, maybe." The stranger finally stopped in front of a large gate. Behind it stood a house far bigger than anything they had ever seen. The walls tall, the doors polished, the windows shining. In the sunlight, the mother froze, her legs trembling. "This place, it looks too grand for people like us," she whispered. But the stranger opened the gate without a word, leading them inside. The garden was filled with flowers, their colors bright and alive. The girl's eyes widened. She had never seen such beauty. Her heart filled with wonder for a moment, forgetting her hunger. Inside the house, everything was neat, shining, and full of warmth. The girl clung to her mother's hand as they stepped inside, afraid to touch anything. The stranger finally turned, his eyes sharp. "Cook something for me. Whatever you wish, the kitchen is yours." The mother's heart raced, her hands shook. She had not cooked in days. Her body was weak, but her soul was awake. She nodded quietly. "Yes, I will cook." The girl's eyes shone with pride, whispering, "See, Mama, I told you someone would listen. Someone would give you a chance." The mother forced back her tears. She could not let her weakness show. Not now. Not in front of her daughter. Not in front of this man who held their fate in his hands. She walked slowly into the kitchen, her eyes scanning the shelves filled with spices, rice, flour, and fresh vegetables. It felt like stepping into another world. Her fingers brushed against the food. Memories of her past returned. The days when she cooked for her husband, the laughter at the table, the joy of feeding people she loved. She closed her eyes, whispering to herself, "I will not fail. Not today, not for my child." The stranger watched from the doorway, silent and still. The girl stood beside him, her little hands clenched, waiting. The fire was lit. The mother began to cook. The smell of onions and spices filled the air, rising through the house. The girl's eyes widened, her heart swelling with pride. Her mother was alive again, her spirit glowing as the food took shape. The stranger's expression remained unreadable, but his eyes followed every movement, every sound. The tension grew heavy, the air thick with both aroma and suspense. And as the food cooked slowly, one question filled the air like smoke. What would the stranger decide once he tasted it? The kitchen was alive again, the sound of sizzling oil, the smell of spices rising into the air, the clatter of pots and pans. The little girl watched her mother move with hands that trembled at first, but slowly grew steady, like a bird remembering how to fly. Her mother's face, once tired and pale, now carried a quiet glow. Every movement was filled with care. Every stir of the spoon carried love. It was as if her soul had awakened again inside this kitchen. The stranger stood by the doorway, his arms crossed, his eyes following each detail. The crowd was far away now, the whispers of the market gone. Here it was only silence, fire, and food. The girl stood beside him, whispering to herself, "Mama will not fail. Mama's food is magic." Her small hands clasped tightly as if she were praying. Slowly, the meal took shape. The smell grew stronger, drifting across the room, filling it with warmth. It was not the food of kings. It was simple, but it carried something richer than gold. It carried love. When the mother finally placed the dish on the table, her hands were shaking again. She had given everything she had into this one meal. Her strength, her heart, her hope. She stepped back, her eyes lowered, afraid to see rejection. The stranger sat at the table, his face unreadable. He lifted the spoon slowly. The girl held, her breath, her eyes wide, her little heart racing. The first bite touched his lips. He chewed slowly, silently, his eyes lowering for a moment. No expression showed. He swallowed, still silent. The mother's chest tightened. Every second felt like an hour, she whispered in her heart. "Please let him see, let him understand." The girl could not hold it anymore. She leaned forward, her voice trembling. "Is it good, sir? Do you like it?" The stranger finally looked up. His eyes met the child's. For the first time, his lips curved into the faintest smile. "Yes, it is good, very good," the girl gasped, joy bursting in her chest. She turned to her mother. "Mama, he likes it. He really likes it." Her voice was full of victory. Her mother's eyes filled with tears. She whispered softly, "Thank you, sir," her voice breaking. But the stranger did not stop there. He ate another bite, slower, more thoughtful this time, than another, and as if each taste carried not only flavor but a memory, as if he had not eaten food made with such love for many years. When he finished, he placed the spoon down gently, his voice deep and calm. "This food is not just good, it is special. It carries warmth. It carries soul. You do not just feed the stomach, you feed the heart. The girl's eyes shone with pride. She hugged her mother's arm tightly. I told you, Mama, I told you your food is magic. The mother could not speak. Her tears spoke for her, rolling silently down her face. The stranger leaned back, his eyes steady. I have an offer. The room froze. The girl blinked. Her mother's breath caught in her chest. He continued. I own a restaurant, one of the busiest in this town, but I have searched for something my cooks cannot give. Food that feels alive. Food that touches people. Today I have found it. The mother gasped. Unable to believe his words, her hands shook harder. Sir, I am only a poor woman. I cannot work in a place like yours. The man's voice was firm but kind. You can and you will, if you accept. I will give you a place in my kitchen. A chance to cook not only for me, but for many. Your daughter will never go hungry again. The little girl's heart jumped. Her eyes widened with wonder. She grabbed her mother's hand. Mama, did you hear? We will never be hungry again. You will cook for everyone. They will love your food. But the mother's heart was torn. Fear clung to her like chains. Why me, sir? Why choose a stranger? Why take pity on us? The man's eyes darkened, his voice low. Because I know hunger. I know what it means to starve. I know what it means to beg. Long ago I was like you. But someone gave me a chance. Now it is my turn to give, and I will not waste it. His words were heavy with truth. His eyes burned with memory. The mother's fear melted slowly, replaced with hope. Though she was still afraid to believe, the girl tugged her arm again, whispering, Say yes, Mama. Please say yes. The mother looked into her daughter's hopeful eyes, into the stranger's steady gaze. Her lips trembled, her voice breaking. I will try. The man nodded once, his voice calm. Then it is settled. Tomorrow you will begin. The girl cried with joy, hugging her mother tightly. We did it, Mama, we did it. But deep inside the mother's heart, a storm still raged. She wondered if this was truly the blessing it seemed, or if life would play another cruel trick. The stranger stood and left the kitchen, his footsteps heavy, his voice lingering in the air. Tomorrow your new life begins. The girl's laughter filled the silence, but the mother's eyes stared at the door, fear and hope battling within her. Outside, the wind blew softly, carrying the scent of food into the world, a scent that might soon change their fate forever. The next morning arrived with the first light of dawn. The little girl woke before her mother, her eyes shining with excitement. Mama, today is the day. Today you will cook in his restaurant. Today our life will change. Her mother sat up slowly, her heart heavy with nerves, her hands trembling as she tied her faded shawl. She whispered, Child, I don't know if I am ready. What if I fail? What if they laugh at me? The girl held her mother's hands tightly, her voice full of courage. Mama, you will not fail. Your food is magic, I believe in you. And you must believe in yourself too. Those words gave her mother a little strength, a spark of hope, and together they walked the long road to the town. The restaurant stood tall and wide, far larger than any place they had ever entered. The smell of food drifted from its doors. The sound of pots, voices, and footsteps echoed inside. The stranger was waiting at the entrance, his face calm but serious. He nodded at them. You are here. Good. Today you will show me, not with words, but with your hands if you succeed. The kitchen will be yours. The mother lowered her eyes, whispering, I will do my best. The little girl clung to her mother's arm, whispering back, Mama, remember your food carries love. That is what no one else can do. Inside, the restaurant kitchen was alive with noise. Cooks shouted orders, knives chopped, fire crackled. The mother froze for a moment. The sight was overwhelming. She felt small, lost among the speed and skill of others. The head cook, a proud man with sharp eyes, sneered when he saw her. Who is this woman? She looks too weak to even hold a knife. Why is she here? The stranger's voice was calm but firm. She is here for a test. Give her what she needs. The head cook laughed, shaking his head. She will fail, mark my words. The mother's cheeks burned, but the girl squeezed her hand, whispering, "Don't listen, Mama, you can do it." A basket of vegetables was placed before her, rice and flour set on the table. The stranger's voice echoed, "Cook whatever you wish, but remember, only truth shows in food." Her hands trembled as she touched the knife. Memories of her old kitchen came back. Her husband smiling, her daughter laughing, her stove warm with fire. Slowly her breath steadied. Her fingers grew firm. She chopped the vegetables with care. She mixed the spices with love. The sound of sizzling filled the kitchen. Some of the younger cooks stopped to watch, their eyes curious. The head cook smirked, whispering to another, "It looks simple, nothing special." But as the smell began to rise, even he paused, his nose catching something he had not expected. The aroma spread across the kitchen, filling every corner. It was not the smell of grand dishes. It was the smell of home, the smell of comfort, the smell of love. The little girl's eyes shone with pride. She whispered, "Mama is back. Mama's spirit is alive again." The mother's body moved with rhythm now. Each stir of the spoon carried not only skill, but heart. When she placed the dish on the table, her face was calm, though her heart beat fast. The stranger stepped forward, his eyes steady. He tasted the food silently. The kitchen froze, every cook watching, waiting. His lips pressed together. His eyes closed for a moment. He chewed slowly, then finally spoke. "This is food that carries life." The head cook frowned, tasting a spoonful himself. His eyes widened in surprise. He looked at her differently now, not with mockery, but with respect hidden behind silence. The stranger looked at the mother, his voice deep. "You have passed the test. From today you will cook in my kitchen." The girl gasped, her heart exploding with joy. She hugged her mother tightly. "Mama, I knew it. I knew you would win." The mother's eyes filled with tears, her lips trembling. "Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving me this chance." But the stranger raised his hand, his eyes serious. "Wait, the test is not over yet. Feeding me is one thing. Feeding strangers is another. Tomorrow you will cook for my customers. They will judge you, not me." The mother froze, fear returning to her chest. She whispered, "For your customers." The stranger nodded firmly. "Yes, a restaurant lives on the hearts of people. If they love your food, you belong here. If they don't, you must leave." The girl's joy faded a little. She looked at her mother. "Mama, can you do it?" The mother swallowed hard, her hand shaking again. The thought of so many strangers tasting her food terrified her. What if they laughed? What if they spat it out? What if she failed in front of everyone? But when she looked at her daughter's hopeful face, when she remembered the long nights of hunger, the shame of begging in the market, the pain of empty pots, something strong lit inside her heart. She straightened her shoulders, her voice quiet but firm. "I will cook. I will not run." The stranger gave a single nod, his face unreadable. "Tomorrow then your real test begins." The kitchen returned to noise, but the mother and daughter stood silently together, holding each other's hands tightly, their hearts filled with both fear and hope. Outside, the evening sun sank lower, painting the sky red. The little girl whispered, "Mama, tomorrow is the day the whole world will know your magic." The mother closed her eyes, whispering back, "Yes, tomorrow everything will change one way or another." And as the night grew darker, the weight of tomorrow pressed heavy on their shoulders, a test not only of skill, but of destiny itself. The morning sun rose with a golden light spreading across the streets of the town inside the restaurant. The kitchen was already alive, pots clanging, voices calling, fire crackling. But in one quiet corner stood the mother, her hands shaking, her heart heavy. Today was the day she would face the true test. Her daughter held her hand tightly, whispering with courage beyond her years, "Mama, don't be afraid. Remember, your food is not just food. It is love. It is hope. And today everyone will taste." The stranger entered, his step steady, his face serious. He looked at the mother and said, "Today you will cook for my customers. Their voices will decide, not mine. If they love your food, you stay. If not, you leave." The mother bowed, Her voice quiet but firm. "I will not run, I will cook." The kitchen bustled around her, the other cooks watching with hidden curiosity, some with doubt, some with respect. But she ignored them. She focused only on the fire, the pots, and the memories of why she was here. She closed her eyes for a moment and remembered the long nights of hunger, her daughter's tears, the empty pots. And then she remembered her husband's smile long ago when he ate her food. She whispered to herself, "I will cook not for fame, not for money, but for love, for survival, for my child." Her hands moved with rhythm, chopping vegetables, stirring spices. Her weak body grew stronger as the fire danced. The little girl watched with wide eyes, whispering, "Mama is shining again. Mama is alive." The smell rose quickly, filling the air, drifting out of the kitchen into the restaurant hall. Customers lifted their heads, curious, drawn by the rich aroma. Plates were carried out one by one, steaming, simple meals but filled with heart. The first customer took a bite. His eyes widened in surprise. He chewed slowly, then nodded with satisfaction. Another customer tasted the food, her lips curved into a smile. "This tastes like home," she said softly, memories flashing in her eyes. Soon the sound of approval filled the hall, people asking for more, laughter returning to their tables, their hearts warmed by food that felt alive. The little girl peeked from the kitchen door. Her heart racing with joy, she whispered, "Mama, they love it. They really love it." Tears filled her mother's eyes, but she kept cooking. Faster now, stronger, as if every dish she made was another step away from hunger, another step toward life. The head cook who had mocked her earlier tasted the food. Himself, his pride softened. He looked at her and finally admitted, "You cook with something none of us can match." The stranger entered the hall, watching the customers, their smiles, their laughter. The plates cleaned quickly. He nodded slowly, satisfaction in his eyes. He returned to the kitchen, his voice calm but powerful. "You have passed, the people have spoken. From today, this kitchen is yours." The mother froze, her hands trembling. "Mine," she whispered, unable to believe. The stranger's eyes softened. "Yes, you will cook here. Your daughter will never go hungry again. You will never beg again. Today is the beginning of your new life." The girl cried out with joy, hugging her mother tightly. "Mama, we did it. You are safe now, we are safe now." The mother fell to her knees, holding her child, her tears falling freely. Tears not of sorrow, but of relief, of hope, of gratitude. She whispered, thank you, God has heard us." The stranger turned, but before leaving, he said one last thing, his voice carrying weight. "Never forget where you came from. Never forget those who still cry like you once did. Use your gift not only to live, but to heal others. Heal." The mother bowed her head deeply. "I will remember." Days turned into weeks. The restaurant grew busier than ever. People came not only for food, but for the feeling it carried, warmth, kindness, comfort. The food healed hearts as much. As it filled stomachs, the mother became known as the heart of the kitchen, and the little girl became her helper, carrying small plates, greeting customers with her bright smile, her laughter filling the halls. They no longer slept hungry. They no longer hid in shame. Their small hut was replaced with a warm home, their empty nights with dreams. But the mother never forgot the cries in the market, never forgot the pain of hunger. Whenever she saw a poor child near the restaurant, she gave them food, whispering softly, "Eat, my child. No one should cry the way my daughter once cried." The little girl grew with hope in her eyes, knowing her mother was not just a cook, but a giver of love. And together they walked into a future brighter than they had ever dreamed. The market that once echoed with the girl's desperate cry now carried another story. The story of a child's courage, a mother's gift, and a stranger's kindness. And so their life changed forever, proving that sometimes even the smallest voice can open the greatest doors.